Because what a lot of people do is when they don't hear back from somebody, they may quit. They might stop following up just because somebody hasn't replied to them. But because I kept following up with him and I was able to build this relationship with him over the years, all of these amazing opportunities started to present themselves, and I'm just forever grateful. Welcome to the Friends in Beauty podcast, a safe space for ambitious beauty industry creatives to have real talk, get real answers, and practical tools to grow their businesses. My name is Akua Robinson, and I'm a makeup artist, beauty educator, and the creator of Friends in Beauty. I created Friends in Beauty to support like-minded creatives just like you on their quest to connect, network, and build genuine relationships within the beauty community. Join me every week as me and my special guests reveal the keys to success and longevity in the beauty industry, and most importantly, have fun while doing it. You ready? Hey, it's your best friend in beauty, Akua Robinson, and I am so excited to present to you the very first episode of the Friends in Beauty podcast. All of my friends and family know that this has been a very long time coming. I'm obsessed with podcasts. I've been saying that I want to do a podcast for a very long time, and I'm so excited to present the extension of the Friends in Beauty events in the form of a podcast. So in today's episode, I want to give you all a chance to get to know me a little bit more. Some of you may be familiar with me, and some of you are probably like, who is this girl, right? So in today's episode, we're going to get into storytelling, like the importance of telling your story, how to tell your story, and all of that good stuff. So without further ado, let's get to know me a little bit more. I want to give you 3 random facts about me first. So 3 random facts about me is I love the color mustard yellow. That is my favorite color. I've been rocking that color for a very long time. I love cats, and I have a very, very big family. I am Jamaican American. I am first generation here from my father's side here in America. I have 6 brothers and 5 sisters total, with about 35, 36 or something like that, nieces and nephews, and they're still, popping them out. I think that was more than 3 random facts, but you get the gist, right? So I would love the opportunity to share my story with you all because it has been quite a journey. I have been a makeup artist for 7 years now, and there has been so much that has happened in between that time that has led me to where I am now. So I want to share my story with you. Are you ready? Okay, let's get into it. So it starts like this. And it's so funny that anytime I share my story, I feel like I always leave something out. Because so much has happened in these 7 years, a lot of wonderful things and a lot of things that have encouraged me to grow. So I always feel like I leave something out. But because I have this podcast platform now, I feel like I can go a little bit deeper into certain things because I always tell my stories when I'm teaching. And my students always had the opportunity to hear my story, but I like to keep it kind of concise for the sake of time. But I feel like on this podcast, I can get real with y'all. I can get real. I can share more and all of that good stuff. So let me tell you about myself. Let me stop rambling. So like I said, my name is Akua Robinson. I was born and raised in Washington, D.C. Whoop, whoop. Shout out to the DMV. And I come from a single parent home. So I grew up with my mom and my sister. I have an older sister who's 4 years older than me. And as far as makeup goes, makeup wasn't really a thing in my house. My mom has never worn makeup before. But my earliest memories of makeup have to be my sister playing around with like lipsticks on me, and she always used to tell me like, "Oh, you have like the perfect complexion to wear any color." I remember her telling me that, and at the time, I'm like, I don't know what the heck she is talking about, but I think I look cute, right? So she used to play around with like lipsticks on me and everything like that. But growing up, I went to all private schools. I went to all African-centered private schools to be exact. So What that means is it's very unconventional from, regular schools. We could not wear jeans. We could not wear nail polish. We had to wear our hair natural. We had to wear African clothes every day. Just anything that was like of the Western world, it was like we wasn't rocking with it. So it wasn't until I went to high school and I went to a public school that I had the chance to kind of explore with my looks. I got to play around in makeup, wear whatever I wanted. And it always sounds unconventional to people when I tell them like I had to wear African clothes every day and I went to this African Center private school. But what it did for me, just jumping back really quick, what it did for me in that moment or just looking back growing up, it instilled a sense of pride in myself as a young Black woman from a very young age because I had to deal with myself in my natural form and I was around other people who encouraged it and didn't look down upon it. So I didn't even realize until I got older that a lot of people had issues with colorism, the color of their skin, and just, navigating the world, because of our looks, right? But when I went to high school now, oh my gosh, the girls that I was hanging out with, man, they were into the hair, they were into the makeup and the fashion and all of that good stuff. And I remember I was like 16 years old. One of my friends, she plucked my eyebrows for me. She plucked my eyebrows for me for the first time. It hurt so bad, but I think that was like my first taste of like, oh, this is like beauty. Okay, I can see the little transformation happening. And in high school, I was no scholar by any means. And it's so crazy. I went to an academic high school here in DC called Banneker. And that school has a really rigorous curriculum. And I never made the honor roll. I mean, I enjoyed school because of my friends. I can't say that I dreaded going to school, but I wasn't a scholar at that moment by any means. And I remember when it came time for, graduation now, you meet with your counselors and everything. And they encouraged me to go to college. And let me tell you, your girl did not want to go to college. My plan was I wanted to be a hairstylist. So I wanted to go straight from high school to cosmetology school, get my license, and open up a hair salon. That was the plan. But when I graduated from high school, I was 17 at the time. So my counselor and my mom, they encouraged me you need to have a backup plan. So they wanted me to go to college. I applied to several colleges. The one that I really, really wanted to go to, which was Temple, I didn't get into right away. They told me I could transfer in. I was like, no, I ain't trying to do that. And I remember it was like August. Now, college starts in like August. I got accepted to some, but I didn't want to go there. So I remember it was like August 2004, if you're curious. And I was sitting in like the waiting area of like a community college here with my mom, and I just started crying. And she said, like, what is wrong with you? And I just told her, I don't want to be here. And my mom is super cool. She understood, and she was like, okay, let's go. So I walked out, and it wasn't until maybe 2 weeks before school started, I decided to just go to the University of the District of Columbia, which short is UDC. I just decided to go there because my cousin was going there. I was like, at least I'm going to have some company up there. And at first, I decided to pursue a bachelor's degree. So all throughout college, I was working a job. Well, I started off working as a teller at what was Wachovia Bank at the time. Now it's Wells Fargo. But I was working as a teller and paying my way through school. So I just want you to keep that in mind. I was working as a teller, paying my way through school because UDC was so cheap at the time that I could pay out of pocket. Like, it was no big deal. I was doing it. And I decided to pursue that associate's degree first, which was in business. And once I was close to finishing that, I realized I only had like not even that many more credits to get a bachelor's degree. So I decided to continue on in pursuing my bachelor's degree. And in the midst of that, I got fired from my job at Wachovia when I was about, I want to say maybe 2 semesters away from graduating. And I was freaking devastated because, first of all, I had never been fired from a job before. And then on top of that, it was probably like, if I remember correctly, maybe 6 days before Christmas time. So I'm like, who does this? Who fires people like right before Christmas? That is just so evil. And I just did not know what to do, because my first thought was like, how am I going to finish paying for school? And I just decided to keep pressing on. I got into a program that was able to provide me with some benefits and everything to pay for school. And I was out of work for a few months. Let me think, maybe 3 months. I got another job in March of 2000, and I think it was 2009 or 10 or something like that. Don't even ask me what I did yesterday. I could barely remember. But I got another job like 3 months later, and then like 4 months after that, I got fired from that job, and I was working at the unemployment office, y'all. I was working at the DC unemployment office as a claims examiner, and then I got back on unemployment because I got fired. And I was just so like frustrated. I still went on and I pursued my degree. I still finished school and everything. So once I finished school, I went on and I started to apply for jobs. And at that time, we were experiencing the recession, so nobody was hiring. And people are so shocked when I tell them that I have an IT degree and they weren't hiring. I literally never got hired in my field. Like, I remember going on a job interview one time, and they gave us an assessment before we started. And I'm like, why the hell would they do that now? Why the hell would you do that? They gave us an assessment. Your girl failed the assessment, and I couldn't even move forward with the interview portion. I remember walking out of that office in tears, literally like pouring tears, walking down to my car, because at this point I was frustrated. I worked and I paid my way through school. I got the degree like everyone told me to. And now you telling me that I can't get a job in this field. I can't even get an interview. I can't even land a job. I feel like I had done everything right. They make it seem like the red carpet is going to roll out for you because you go to college. And I'm not down in college. College is great, depending on, what you want to do. And I met some amazing people in college. So I can't even imagine if I didn't go, I wouldn't know certain people in my life. But I was just frustrated, and I kind of fell into like a depression because I just did not know what to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life anymore. I didn't go to cosmetology school. I got this degree, and now what? I'm still broke. I'm still broke. So during that time, I was working all types of jobs, just any job I could find at the moment, just to keep money in my pocket. I started working for a life insurance company. I was selling life insurance. I had my life insurance license. I stopped doing that because for some strange reason, people don't believe they're going to die. So I just got tired of convincing people like they needed life insurance. So cut that out. Then right before I decided to jump into beauty, I was working as a cake decorator at a grocery store. So I had that skill under my belt, but I honestly do not like working for people. And at this point, I was just doing things to have money, and I was tired of having my livelihood in somebody else's hands. Like, if you've ever been fired from a job, you already know it's really unexpected. You don't know what's coming. Most of us live paycheck to paycheck anyway, so I was pretty much asked out. So with that in mind, I got to a point where I was like, what do you like to do that you can make money from? And the first thing that popped in my head was makeup, because at that point I was getting into makeup more. I was on YouTube watching videos, trying to put eyeshadow on, trying to put lashes on, all of that good stuff. So I had got to a point where YouTube pretty much showed me everything that I could learn at the moment. I'm the type of person that if you show me how to do something, I could pretty much do it. I need training. I need somebody to teach me how to do makeup. So I did my research, and I ended up finding a cosmetology school here in the DC area called Bennett Career Institute, and is literally like 5 blocks from my house. How convenient is that? So I looked into it. I enrolled in Bennett, and the crazy thing about it, the program is $1,600. It's a 6-week program, comes with a makeup kit and all that good stuff. I didn't have $1,600. Like, are you kidding me? Let me tell you, my sister, who had just had a baby at that time, cashed out her freaking stocks from her job in order to give me that $1,000 deposit to put down towards Bennett. If she had not done that, I'm not sure where I would have found that money from. So forever grateful to my big sister for doing that. Shout out to you, Ajua. Shout out to you because I have no idea and I just came up with the rest. So went to Bennett, was in the program. I would probably say that I was probably like the weakest student in the class for sure. I think it was about 8 of us. And I used to have like these little meltdowns at school. I would go in the bathroom, cry my eyes out because I wasn't getting it. And now that I've been doing it for some time, I know that it's a muscle. Like makeup is a muscle that you have to build. It takes time, it takes practice, all of that good stuff. So at any rate, I just pushed through. I finished the program, the 6-week program. I finished in December 2012. And after that, I just pretty much ran with it and was telling everybody I was a makeup artist. And people were shocked because at that time, people didn't even know that I had an interest in makeup or beauty or anything. It was just so totally different from what I had been involved in, what I was doing at that time anyway. So people were shocked. And I think it took a little bit of time before people actually caught on with people that I was doing makeup because it was just so different. And I'm very grateful that after I finished Bennett, my teacher, she had a connection at a photography studio here. And she brought me and a couple of her other students over because, we needed to build our portfolios. And the photographer that owned the studio, he was very, very spontaneous. And he would just hit me up sometime, like a lot, and just be like, hey, what are you doing? Nothing. I'm just watching TV. He's like, you want to shoot? I'm like, hey, sure. He's like, okay, I'm about to see if I can find a model come through. And I swear that was at least like 3-4 times a week. But I'm so grateful for that because what it did was I got really good quick with my artistry. I could look at pictures from like months, like month to month, week to week sometimes on the same model and just see like the growth in my artistry because I was constantly practicing. So I got to build my portfolio. I got to meet people, other photographers, models, makeup artists in the area just from constantly being in that photography studio. Also, in 2013, this was the last one that they had. Bennett used to do this thing called the Celebrity Makeup Artist Symposium, where they would bring in different celebrity makeup artists from, all over and have them teach a weekend of classes, hands-on classes at Bennett. And because I was on the committee for that symposium, Mr. Bennett told us that we can choose anybody that was coming as an instructor to assist. So at that time, the lineup was, let me see if I can remember, it was Danessa Myrick's, Morelle Hollis, Reggie Wells, Monet Everett, Bethany Towns, and Ziani Coates. If I can remember, I think that was everybody that came. Ziani Coates used to do Michelle Obama back in the day. And hands down, I was like, I'm assisting Danessa because right before I decided to become a makeup artist, I think someone had gave me like a list of people who I should look into, and she was one of them. And I just became like obsessed. I was like, ooh, her artistry, her personality, like her whole vibe was just amazing. So I was like, yeah, I'm assisting Danessa, hands down, right? But it ended up that she wasn't able to come because at the time she was located in San Francisco. And the symposium was the same weekend as the makeup show in New York. So she was coming from San Francisco to go to New York to come down to DC to do the symposium to then go back to the makeup show. And it was just too much. So she ended up not being able to do it. So my next best option for myself was like, hey, let me assist Morelle Hollis, because if you don't know Morelle Hollis, he is the magical hands behind Wendy Williams' look. And I like that show. I loved Wendy Williams at that time. I think I used to watch it like every day. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm assisting Morelle. And that was the best the best decision I think that I made at an early time without even realizing it. Um, I remember distinctly the second day, the last day of the symposium, because I got to assist him in his classes that he was teaching. The last day of the symposium, I was gonna go and set up his kit for him, but Mr. Bennett was like, no, just leave his stuff alone. Something pops up missing. We don't want nobody blaming you. I was like, true, true. But Morelle ended up asking me to, go downstairs while they were eating breakfast and to set up his kit. And let me tell you something. I set up that kit to a T, the exact same way that he had it the day before. If the pencil sharpener was tilted to the left, I'm tilting it to the left. If the palette was here, I'm putting the palette in the exact same place. So when he came down and he saw it, he was just blown away. He was like, oh my God, like this is amazing, right? He was like, you know what? I want you to come to New York one day and assist me. And I was like, okay, sure. So we exchanged numbers, and the type of person I am too, sometimes I take things with a grain of salt. And then also, I was only about maybe 6 months into being a makeup artist. So I didn't really understand the magnitude of what he was saying. But what I did know was that he gave me his number. He said what he said, and I was going to keep in touch. So all throughout 2013, I would message him every now and then. Hey, Morelle, it's Akua. Don't forget about me. Hey, just checking in. Let me know when you need me. That sort of thing. One time I got the "Who's this?" text, and I'm like, it's Akua. He's like, oh, I changed my phone. Like, sure. So in the meantime, just following up with him, I began working at different trade shows, and my dream finally came true because I was able to work with Danessa. So I used to work at like the Bronner Brothers hair shows, the makeup show in New York, Orlando, like different cities with Danessa's brand at the time was called I Make You Beautiful. And it was like a group of, makeup artists from all over. When we did the Bronner Brothers one, it was a huge group of us. And we would work at the booth, putting glitter lips on people, selling her products, selling her DVDs, and it was so much fun, so much fun. And the crazy thing is that I've never shared with people before is a lot of the times when I would go on these trips, and these are things that you have to pay for most of the time. Sometimes brands pay you, but in this situation, we were flying out on our own dime, and we would get paid in product for, our time and our service. A lot of the times when I was going to these places, I did not have money in my pocket. I would probably have like $50 in my pocket for to last me for like 3 days or something like that, and just get a blessing that someone paid for my lunch, or that they happened to pay for lunch and breakfast for us that day. Like I was really out here just taking shots, like just because I wanted to be around people who were doing it. I was blessed for the opportunity that I even got chosen. It was like no way that I wasn't going to show up or find a way to show up. Sometimes I didn't even have the money for my flights, and I would have to borrow it, or people would pay for me. And I've never shared before that one of my sisters actually passed away unexpectedly 1 week before the first time I had to go to the Bronner Brothers show to work with Danessa. And I remember her assistant telling me, like, of course, that, keep her updated. I don't have to come if I don't want to, but I really, really wanted to be there. I know that my sister would want me to be there too. And based on the circumstances and everything, it was nothing that I can do about it at that moment. So I still decided to go to Atlanta to go work with Danessa. It's a lot of sacrifice that has gone into this, but it was all worth it. So it wasn't until the next year, in February 2014, that I got a message from Morelle on Instagram. I still have the screenshot somewhere that just says like, hey, I need you in New York next week. Call me. So I called him, and he had shared with me that he had just became the artistic director for Black Opal Cosmetics. So if you're a makeup artist like I am, you know that Black Opal is a staple in a lot of people's kits. And a lot of the people that I admire as artists, it's a staple in their kits. And it's the brand that I learned with when I was at Bennett. So I got to assist him on that campaign shoot for Black Opal Cosmetics. And that was one of the best experiences ever because I got a behind the scenes look at, how something as major as that is ran. And then the other thing that I loved was the catering, to be honest. Like at this point I had been doing so many photo shoots and working with different photographers. And if you always on set, you know that the food choice is always pizza. They always want to order pizza on set. But at this thing, honey, they had catered breakfast, catered lunch for like 2 days, and it was amazing. I got spoiled. Now, if you ask me if I want something to eat on set and they say pizza, I'm like, so bougie, I'm not eating that. I'm not eating that at all. But it was just such an amazing opportunity. I also got to assist him on a cover shoot for Essence magazine, which was cool too. Same thing with the catering, big production, Essence for goodness sakes. And I'm so grateful for those opportunities with him because what it did was it showed me what was possible from the very beginning of my career as a makeup artist. What could I attain on this journey, because a lot of times when you tell your friends and family that you want to do something like makeup or hair or photography, nails, anything in the beauty industry, they really don't see the vision of it. It's like, you gonna make money doing what? Not realizing that there are so many opportunities in the beauty industry. So I'm so grateful that I got to see that from the very beginning, because it opened my eyes and I knew that I could dream big and I can get it. Another amazing thing that happened with Morelle is one time I was at his birthday party in New York City, and I saw this guy at the party and I just thought he was so cute. And something just kept saying, talk to him, talk to him. And I thought he was cute, but I knew that I wasn't his type, if you know what I mean. But something kept pulling me to talk to him, and he disappeared in the party. And right before I had to leave to catch my bus back to DC, because that's something I would do too, like events, classes, anything beauty related that was happening in New York, I would be on that bus to New York back and forth 4 hours each way. And a lot of people didn't even realize I didn't live in New York, but I had to catch my bus back. And I saw him before I left, and I just said, hey, I think you are so adorable. I just had to say something to you. And people love compliments, honey. So he just opened up and started sharing with me how he was a producer of this off-Broadway play, and that the next time I'm in New York, I should come and see it. So we should keep in touch. So we exchanged social media and everything. And I lied to you not. When he told me the name of the play, I had literally just seen a documentary on TV One like the week before about that play. And I was like, ooh, that looks like something that I want to see. And it was called Mighty Real, a fabulous Sylvester musical about this disco singer back in the 70s. So I thought that was really cool and coincidental that I had met the producer for the play. So I headed out to get my bus back to DC. And before I could even get to the bus, this guy was in my DMs like, hey, I didn't realize that you were a makeup artist. I should think that you were if you was at Morelle's party, but we're looking for a makeup artist to go with us to San Francisco for a month because we're taking the play there. Like, if it's something you're interested in, like, we could talk about it. So I'm like, yeah. So long story short, I went through like the whole trial run with them, and I had to do makeup on a man. Okay, I'm talking about full glam, lashes, the brow, the eyeshadow, everything on a man. So I had to go back and forth to New York for a while just to practice, just to get acquainted with doing his makeup to their liking and everything. And I got the job, and that was the first time that someone had paid me to pay me for a job, pay for my travel, pay for my stay, and I got to see the West Coast. I had never been to California before, and I was there for an entire month. And that was the first time I had even been away from like my friends and family that long too. And it's such an amazing experience that I am just so forever grateful for. So another amazing opportunity that came about was, I didn't mention that Morelle, he's also Diddy's groomer, P. Diddy Papa Diddy Pop, Puff Daddy. He's Puff Daddy's groomer. So he has been a part of the makeup, the glam squad for a lot of bad boy artists throughout that whole bad boy era. So when they came out with that bad boy reunion tour and they needed some assistance, Morelle called me and another makeup artist, and we got to work with Total. Oh my goodness. Hands down, if I'm thinking about all of the cool things that I've done so far, that was amongst one of the coolest friggin' jobs that I've ever done. I got to work with Total. I grew up listening to their music. I grew up in the bad boy era. So just being backstage, was it Barclays in Brooklyn? Just being backstage, seeing Usher backstage, Carl Thomas, 112, Lil Kim was in the dressing room beside us, Mace was in the dressing room beside us, and Faith and Mary J. Blige were in that same corridor with us in our dressing rooms. Oh my gosh. Coolest experience ever. Just watching them from backstage go up on the platform and onto the stage. Like, I could still see it and I could still feel the energy. And it was such an amazing experience. And just to pause briefly, that just speaks to the magnitude of building relationships. Just from me following up with Morelle all those different times, because what a lot of people do is when they don't hear back from somebody, they may quit. They might stop following up just because somebody hasn't replied to them. But because I kept following up with him and I was able to build this relationship with him over the years, all of these amazing opportunities started to present themselves. And I'm just forever grateful to Morelle for seeing something in me to bring me along on some of these jobs with him, because that's a big deal to have somebody assisting you, because an assistant is an extension of that artist. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Morelle. So after that, I'm still building my business. I'm still out here grinding, going to classes. I eventually started investing in coaching, which helped me tremendously in my business because, as you know, the beauty industry is not a straight line. No business is. It's so many ups and downs, so many different routes to get to, where you want to be. So I had to invest in a coach because I needed help. I was good on the artistry side, but I decided to invest in a coach for like the business side. So my first coach that I invested in, her name is Akua Robinson. Hey girl, hey. Shout out to Tariana. She was the first coach that I had. I invested in a 6-week program with her, and just to get my business under wraps. And Tayana encouraged me to start teaching. And up until this point, I had been getting people reaching out to me, asking me to teach classes. Some people wanted one-on-ones. I remember the first person that asked me for a one-on-one, I told her straight up, like, no, like, I'm still learning myself. Like, how am I going to be able to teach you? But she would not take no for an answer. So I ended up doing like one-on-one lessons on the side. Like, a lot of people didn't know that I was teaching unless somebody actually asked me. I never announced it on social media, like I'm open, nothing like that. You had to ask, and then I would, teach. But after I finished her program, she helped me put together my first class, which was the Grow to Pro Makeup Masterclass, October 15th, 2017. I'll never forget that day. Best day of my life so far, because that's the day that I discovered like exactly what I was supposed to be doing in the industry. I did not know I was an educator. That day stamped it for me. I had about, I think 30 people showed up, and that was the number I wanted. So it sold out. And I had people come from out of state for that class, which was a shock. And I just had so much fun. I just couldn't believe like this was life. Like, you could really have this much fun working, doing something that you love. I'm in. So from that point forward, I started doing, more classes, boot camps. I had my own coaching program. And what happened was I had a full circle moment, because Mr. Bennett from Bennett Career Institute saw what I was doing with the classes that I was teaching in the area, and he reached out to me to become the Makeup 101 instructor at the school. So full circle moment, I am currently the Makeup 101 instructor at Bennett Career Institute, and it's such a wonderful experience to be able to come back and teach people in the same capacity that I was taught, that helped, launch my career. It's such a rewarding experience to see people transform from week 1 to week 6, and they're doing full faces, because at Bennett, it's the basics. It's makeup 101. So when somebody comes into that class, most of the time they have never touched a face before. And just to know that I'm able to teach them and they can go out and provide a service, so rewarding. I can't even really put it into words for real. It's so crazy. So moving on, throughout, the time at Bennett, I had another coach as well, did numerous other coaching programs, but this time the coaching program was a little bit more focused. And I had a program where I was teaching makeup artists how to strategically network, to grow their businesses, and to, get clients. So after that 6 week program, or as I was developing the program, actually, I had a thought. I was like, hey, well, if I'm teaching them how to network, then I should probably throw a networking event for them to network and implement everything that they learned. So that's how Friends in Beauty was actually born. Because just as a support to those artists who I was mentoring at the time, and the first Friends in Beauty event we had in February 2019 and sold out with over 100 friends in beauty in attendance, which was freaking mind blowing. It was such a wonderful event. Since then, we've done 5 events. We've done, bus trip to New York. We've done a brunch. We've done a holiday party and a toy drive. And we luckily had another event this year, just to kick off the events in 2020. I was about to say 2019. What year are we in? In 2020, we had our first event on March 15th. And then the next day after that, we got shut down for, COVID-19. So I'm so grateful to have the Friends in Beauty community. I've gotten so much feedback from, just people attending events and landing jobs, landing ad campaigns, connecting with other people that can form friendship. Just so much good feedback that I've gotten from the Friends in Beauty event. I decided that I wanted to take it on tour this year. So I was beginning to embark on, the Friends in Beauty 2020 tour until we got shut down during this pandemic. But I still plan on, hitting those cities, and life and the Friends in Beauty community is still going to go on. So in the midst of this pandemic, one thing that I was able to do was to launch my Skin Queen Revolution line. Just as an artist, I love skin. Skin is everything to me. If the skin ain't right, you could throw everything else in the trash. So I created a line called Skin Queen just for artists and just for women who feel confident in their skin and are empowering other women to be confident in their skin. And then for those skin workers, those artists, those estheticians, those other people who have a passion for skin, just to have something that they can rock and be proud of. And then, Friends in Beauty podcast was also born during this pandemic. So I'm just forever grateful for this platform. I'm sure it's something that I left out of my story because I always do, but that is the gist of it. So as you can see, there has been a lot of things that has occurred in these 7 years. I'm sure I left out something. I know for sure, as I'm thinking about it now, I have done work with Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, Love and Hip Hop New York through the Technique Agency. I worked with brands Iman Cosmetics, Stila, AJ Crimson, Minted Cosmetics. It's so much that has gone on and it's so easy to forget. But what I want you to take away from this is just the key to being consistent and being persistent. The key is building relationships, genuine relationships within this industry, because you just never know what can happen from just being somebody's friend or just keeping in contact with somebody and just being top of mind when somebody needs something. You just never know. So don't throw in the towel. Keep pushing, and you will realize your dreams as long as you don't give up. I hope my story inspires you to, keep pushing and go after your dreams. I want to encourage you to start telling your story because it makes you more relatable so you can connect with your audience. It inspires people, and what you might not realize is that it also helps with your marketing. If you're using social media as your main marketing tool, every now and then you could pull out different bits and pieces of your story in order to connect a picture and be able to relate to your audience. So definitely start telling your story. And if you want some assistance with telling your story, the way that I learned how to tell my story is by something called The Hero's Journey, which was created by someone called Joseph Campbell. And basically, The Hero's Journey is just the format that pretty much all storytellers and storytelling takes to tell a story. So even when you're watching a movie, they all pretty much use this format to tell their story. So it's like several different parts to the hero's journey. And what I'll do is I'll leave a link in the show notes for you to see the video that I used as a reference when I was learning how to tell my story. So there are three major parts to the hero's journey. The first one is what is considered your departure. So the hero's journey always starts off as the storyteller or the main character in their, this regular world of theirs, right? And then they have this departure where they receive a call to adventure, and they're usually aided by like a mentor or something like that heads out onto this mythical land with them. The second part of the hero's journey is the initiation, where the hero, that main character, enters into this new world of danger and tasks and challenges. Sometimes they're alone. They have these setbacks, but they always have like a reward for, accomplishing this goal. And then the last part of the hero's journey is the return, when the hero, that storyteller, returns to a world with their reward, and they've been transformed by this event, at this adventure that they have taken, and they gain so much wisdom over, where they first started versus, upon returning. So the hero's journey is really cool. A cool way to tell your story. So many different parts to it, but those are the main parts to telling your story. So I want to give you some homework. I want to encourage you to really sit down and write your story from start to finish, from childhood up until now. And then you can start to pull out different pieces, to make it more concise and everything like that. But if you're not telling your story, you are doing yourself a big disservice. And I'm not saying that you got to go and broadcast and sit down and do a podcast or live, but people should be able to, relate to you. Like the fact that I've been laid off and fired and this and that, I'm pretty sure there's so many people out there that can relate to that. You know what I'm saying? So tell your story and share with the world. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode of the Friends in Beauty podcast. You are a part of history in the making because you're here listening to this. And I have so much in store for this podcast. I have so much in store for Friends in Beauty in general. So I really, really appreciate you taking the time to take this journey with me, and stay tuned for, all the amazing episodes that we have lined up. We'll be doing interviews, or I'll be doing interviews with, different industry experts, just to get some insight on what it really takes to have longevity and success in this beauty industry, because everybody's story is different. Everybody's journey to success is different. So I want to dive into that with, some people. So if you have any suggestions, if there's anybody that you want me to interview and you want to hear their story, you want to hear some advice from them, like, let me know. Send me a message on the Friends in Beauty Instagram page. That's Friends in Beauty, or my personal Instagram, which is Akua Robinson. My first and last name, AKUA ROBINSON. And I'll take care of that for you. So I'll see you soon. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Friends in Beauty podcast. Don't forget, sharing is caring. Share this episode with at least one friend in beauty, and subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts so that other friends in beauty can find this show. Plus, we'd love to hear your feedback. Connect with us on all social media platforms at Friends in Beauty, #Friends in Beauty to join the conversation, and join our Friends in Beauty Facebook community to stay connected. Talk to you soon.